In 1963, professional boxing began adding a fourth rope to their boxing rings after the three-rope system was suspected of killing a man. This change was made over 60 years ago, but just last month it may have saved a man's life. If you're a Bob Dylan fan, you've probably heard the name Davey Moore. His name became a rallying cry for the early anti-boxing crowd that wanted to ban all forms of what it considered violent blood sport. On March 21st, 1963, the brand new Dodgers Stadium was hosting three title matches, including the featherweight champion Moore facing off against the contender Sugar Ramos. The bout had been rescheduled from weathered 5 days prior. One of the other bouts featured Emil Griffith, who had killed a man in the ring just 1 year prior at Madison Square Garden, and boxer Alejandro Lavarante was laying in a Los Angeles hospital, dying from injuries received in a recent boxing loss as well. The featherweight belt was the second match of three, with Moore dominating the first two rounds and reporters noting an extreme amount of sportsmanship between the competitors. Eventually, in the 10th round, a flurry of punches from Ramos knocked Moore down, with his head bouncing off the tightly pulled bottom rope. As the referee counted, Moore regained his feet by the number 3, and the fight continued, but in the same round, Moore's corner eventually threw in the towel. Moore did not appear particularly injured, walking himself back to the locker room without assistance, then giving an interview where he said he looked forward to taking the title back from Sugar. Right at the end of his interview, Moore suddenly complained of a headache and slumped into unconsciousness. At the hospital, it was discovered that Moore had a serious bruise and severe swelling at the base of his skull, a place that had never been impacted by his opponent during the fight. The doctors concluded this only could have been caused by his head hitting the rope, and he died on March 25th without ever regaining consciousness. Multiple doctors and neurologists have concluded that there is no way a punch could have caused that damage, at least not a punch from that fight. When they reviewed the film, they referred to it as a 1 in a million freak chance, stating the rope essentially affected a perfect karate chop across the back of Moore's neck. The backlash was widespread, with the governor of California asking his own legislature to ban the sport. Bob Dylan wrote a song titled "Who Killed Davey Moore," in which he takes the entire industry to task. Despite all of this, boxing only changed a little. The governing body ordered that a fourth loosened padded rope be added to the bottom. On December 24, 2023, during the Day of Reckoning boxing pay-per-view, Ellis Zora was savagely knocked unconscious during the third round, but as his body slammed into the mat, the loosened fourth rope caught and cradled his head, probably preventing serious injury to the posterior of his brain.